Hello fellow humans! So I'm a pretty adventurous person, you could say. I do like going on a lot of adventures, and even though I'm a bit of an introvert, I like traveling, and that's one of my most favorite things to do, which is why this pandemic has been especially harsh on me. But I wanted to incorporate some of my love for adventure and some of my love for all things fantasy and antique together, and I wanted to make a map. So I'm going to make two different maps which I can display around my room just so they add a decorative touch to my room, and I'm just gonna make two of them and you can see my thought process throughout this video, but I hope that you enjoy. I started by preparing a coffee solution which I dipped 4 sheets of A3 paper into, and I just dipped them to try and color them. Now there's a few things to have caution with this in this process, and one is that you should definitely wash your hands after every single page if you touch anything else, because I think that's what happened, and I may have touched something like some dirt or something around me while picking up one of the other papers and then putting them away, and then the next paper that I did actually had 2 or 3 fingerprints on it. So if you don't want your fingerprints on your paper, don't do that. And also I let them dry on this rack. But the day I did this was an incredibly windy day, and my papers were literally about to fly off. But also, since the paper is wet, it's also really sensitive, so you have to be careful with rips and tears. Now, I didn't mind mine having rips and tears. This is what they look like after dry, because I did want to give it that vintage look. And also there was some crease lines where the rack was. So if you want to avoid that, then you'll probably have to handle with care and also switch around the positioning of the papers or dry them vertically maybe. And then I taped 2 pieces of the A3 papers together because I wanted to have an A2 sized map. I also got a reference picture of the map that I wanted to draw out, and I displayed that on my TV, and then I blue tacked my paper onto that, and then I just started tracing it like that. Now this was a tedious process, and also I was listening to TXT's Frost during this time, and when they were really lost my mind, that's exactly how I felt, because when I was drawing out for one of the maps, when I was drawing out all these little buildings, I was like, there is no way. It took me so long to do this step alone, and I was so tired by the end of that. I couldn't even imagine how tired I would be when I actually had to do these properly. Now the first map that I wanted to do was a map of Narnia, and now this is going to be a bit of a complicated story, so just hang in there. I do enjoy the Chronicles of Narnia. I like the premise of it, and I think that especially with the movies, they really brought the magic to life. But I also have so many problems with the series. There are so many decisions which I don't think should have been made. So basically, I like the essence of what is the Chronicles of Narnia. I just don't like most of it. Now, my favorite book in the series is the 3rd book, which I think speaks for itself, because it is a book involving none of my favorite characters. Well, as main characters, at least. They are kind of background characters. But it's basically just a story that is based in the Golden Age, and that's mostly why I like it. I think that it gets really messy when you're following almost new characters in every single book, and then some of these characters are getting pushed away and differently. I get how that would work in Narnia, where if they were re-entering after a few years or something, they would have different time zones and time periods. But in terms of the actual protagonists that we follow, I feel like there's way too many and too many stories to follow. And I also don't feel like they did a very good job with the characters. You don't get to really know the characters and how they're feeling all that much. I feel like the movies did a better job at this than, well, C.S. Lewis did, but I suppose his time period was different. Maybe people didn't care for characters, and besides, this is a children's book anyway, so I don't know why I'm all character development, depth to characters. But I like how in Prince Caspian the movie, they added Peter's arc where he was making rash decisions because he felt guilty for what he did for, well, leaving the Narnians. And yeah, in the books, their ages were really young. They were, like 12 or something, so they wouldn't have had that many deep feelings anyway. Like 12-year-old Peter would not really have cared that much. But I do think that that is a good liberty that the movies took, that they aged up the characters a little bit, that it still stays like magical enough, but even with them being like older teenagers, they're still able to make those decisions, make rash decisions, but they're also able to act a bit kind of like adults. The only problem with the movies though, I think, is that they're too short, so it feels like everything happens in a bit of a blink. Like, it should have been a show. But anyways, that's over for my Chronicles of Narnia tangent. Also, I used 3 different maps to make my Narnia map, which I will leave linked down below in the description, but none of those maps had anything in the bottom left corner, so that was a creative liberty that I could take, and this is kind of what I chose to do. And then I started my map of the Wizarding World. Well, technically this is a map of London and it includes Diagon Alley and then King's Cross Station. I just liked the vibe of this map. I don't really know how to explain it. I did contemplate doing a map of Hogwarts, but I felt like that would kind of just be the Marauders map, and I don't find that visually interesting, and I did kind of want to add some landmarks. But I did that much, and I had that much to go. Because this is a very large map, and there is so much detail in this. I don't know why I chose this. It did look, at first I was looking for a map that was more detailed than the ones that I already had, but once I started doing this, I was like, oh my goodness, I should not have chosen this. So, be smart, don't be like me, and if you want a map like this, just print it out. Thank you for watching. I hope that you like this video. I hope that you're having a good day. I hope that you continue to have a good day, and I will see you next time.